Hello, everybody, and welcome here to the Wine with Jimmy channel. Thank you for stopping by. This is a wine educational channel designed to give you all the information about key wines, wine styles, wine appellations, and so on around the world. And this is the sparkling wines for the WSET Diploma, looking at Crémant de Bourgogne, which is the sparkling wines of Burgundy. If you have any comments or questions, please do get in touch. You can do so by commenting on this video below. Perhaps you've been to Burgundy, perhaps you like the sparkling wines of this region in comparison to other major sparkling wines. It would be great to hear from you. Okay, let's start to rock and roll talking about Crémant de Bourgogne. So this is split into three parts. So part 1, 2, and 3 you'll see here. This video is free content, but parts 2 and 3 are only available to those of you who subscribe to my e-learning platform over at www.winewithjimmy.com. You'll find all the information you need there. This will grant you access to much more exclusive video content and lots of extra resources to help you with your knowledge gathering and studies. So let's start to look at the introduction to Burgundy, a little bit of history, and then we'll go into the growing environment and grape growing. So first up, there's a pie chart on the slide that you can see. So first of all, Crémant de Bourgogne is a traditional method sparkling wine, which is typically today made from Chardonnay. It's the leading grape variety, but we'll also find Pinot Noir as well. Now, this is logical, as the region is Bourgogne or Burgundy, and the two major grape varieties at play for still wines as well as sparkling wines are Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Now, the production of sparkling wine here accounts for about 1 out of 10 bottles. And the production has more than doubled since the turn of the millennium, so since 2000. And it now stands at around 170,000 hectolitres per annum. It's increasing and becoming more significant. A little bit of history for you. And we have to sort of cast our minds back to the early 19th century. And the wine here, being made as a sparkling, was praised by the gentleman that you see in your picture, Alfred de Musset, who was on this planet from around 1810 to 1857. Now, in his Secrets Pensées de Raphaël in 1838, he mentions the sparkling wines of Burgundy. There's a whole excerpt up there on the slide. I'm not going to translate all of it, but I will translate the last 4 slides. You'll see sentences. You'll see Bourgogne Museau there. That's basically where we'll pick it up. So translating, while at his side, beneath the alabaster vase, where sparkling Burgundy sleeps in ice, the partially eaten pudding with its bluish flame, a joyful salamander still delights the eye. So you can sense the magic of sparkling wine in that moment. Further history here as well. Now, we mentioned that we know that sparkling wine in Burgundy being produced for the first time in the early 19th century. And in places like Chablis, Nuit Saint-Georges, Rouy, and Tonnerre, for a long time, it was the practice to make sparkling versions of prestigious white and red Burgundian cru wines. And legend has it that Napoleon III was presented with sparkling versions of Clos de Vougeot and Romani Conti at a dinner in Dijon in 1860. Remember, the prominence of French wine really started to take off since the Paris exhibition of 1855. So this is just 5 years following that. Now, the appellation of Crémant de Bourgogne was born on the 17th of October, 1975, and it lays down strict rules for production based on, of course, classic traditional method sparkling wine rules. The wines come in a range of styles, and in addition to the standard white sparkling wines for Crémant de Bourgogne, Blanc de Blanc, also Blanc de Noir, and pink wines are made too. So, what about the viticultural area? So, the appellation boundary is the same for the still Bourgogne AOC. Fruit can be sourced from any of the Burgundian departements. So, Yonne, which is in the Chablis, which is where we find Chablis rather, the Côte d'Or, the Saône et Loire, that's the Chardonnay and the Mâconnais, and then also the Rhône department, where we find Beaujolais as well. Now, the area under production amounts to something like 2,000 hectares, just over 2,000 hectares. And the north to south distance is about 250 kilometers, which, of course, with such a large geographical area, can really impact the styles from the different areas as well. Now, the producer Veuve Ambal is the single largest producer of Crémant de Bourgogne and is a specialist in this style. The company owns vineyards in 6 different parts of Burgundy, as you can see on the map, and provides nearly 30% of their needs. Their range includes around 3 estate bottlings from 3 different areas to showcase the local conditions, the nuances of terroir in each of those areas. And the company makes around a third of the 24 million bottles of Crémant de Bourgogne per year, so close to 8 million bottles. Now, that is a significant drop in the vinous ocean. And the main source of grapes so let's have a look at those. So the Mâconnais is one of the most important sources of Crémant de Bourgogne, especially for Chardonnay, and famously produced by the cooperative, which is found in Lugny. You'll see it just at the top of your slide, right underneath where it says Mâconnais in red there, Lugny, and you'll find the Cave de Lugny playing a very important role as a large cooperative. We then have the Côte Chalonnaise, especially around Rouy, so towards the north, south of Bouzeron, but north of Mercury, is this map on the right-hand side of the vineyards of Rouy. And Rouy certainly has a significant production of the Crémant de Bourgogne. Beaujolais, this may seem somewhat surprising as it is a different region, and also because it is more south and warmer, and you have fruitier varieties such as Gamay in play. However, prompted by very high prices found for grapes in the more northerly regions, such as the Côte d'Or, some of the larger producers are looking to Beaujolais as the kind of workhorse or the engine house of fruit production for Crémant de Bourgogne. Now, this is an important cost-sensitive, multi-regional blended expression, and that is important in terms of balancing the environmental books where northern regions may have more of a risk from the likes of frost, whereas there is less risk down in areas here in Beaujolais, for example. And then the Yonne and Châtillon-sur-Sienne. So areas around Chablis in the Yonne department, and then Châtillon-sur-Sienne, which is immediately south of the southernmost part of Champagne. It's actually the right-hand part of your map there in green. at somewhat sort of like 90 kilometers away from the Tonnerrois. Now, these are, of course, important areas for Chardonnay fruit as well, and typically used for Crémant de Bourgogne. And then finally, the famous Côte d'Or. Now, in the Haute Côte de Beaune and the Haute Côte de Nuit, and the flattest parts of the Côte d'Or, you will find vineyards for Cremant de Bourgogne. Now, in general, these areas are cooler, so therefore better suited to producing grapes for sparkling wine and or the cheaper vineyard areas in the Burgundian appellations. Okay, well, that brings me to a conclusion for part one, looking at the growing environment and grape growing. Please do join me for part two when we discuss the climate, viticulture, and vinification in play. Now, part two and part three are only available to those of you who subscribe to my e-learning platform. You can go along and just purchase the Sparkling Wine D4 section for WSET. And that will give you access to all sparkling wine videos, extra resources for learning, written questions, and so on. So thank you very much for your time. If you do have any comments or questions, please do pop them in the comments section below this video. Make sure you also click like and also subscribe. And if you find yourself in the United Kingdom and you are around old Blighty's green rolling hills, come and say hello in the big smoke for a glass, or bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now. Goodbye.